Okay, I'm recording. So, open the study session for the board of directors called for the Metropolitan District at 6 p.m. February 28th, 2023. Go ahead, John.
Okay, first on the list, I have Tom Nye. He's here from Colorado as well, with the presentation.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, board, and everybody that's here. So, I've worked with Colorado City for since 2018, when Ted Bell and I bought Colorado water well from David Hall and the whole family. The whole family has worked with that for a long time. The one well, the first well we worked on since I was involved was the golf course well number 18. We did a repair on that one. And then we proposed on April 15th of 2021, based on an RFP that you had put out for a fixed price to repair this artesian well that you had. Based on that, we proposed on it, but you guys were looking for a fixed price. Really, the way we treat things is if we owned it, what would we do? And so that's how I prepared my proposal. And due to the condition of that well, it's not beneficial for us to enter into a fixed price because our prices would be so high. And we would have all sorts of caveats saying, if this happens, our price is no good anymore. So it puts us in a position of being an adversary to the board. So what we propose is to do a time and materials process. This is it's not an old well because it was drilled in 1963, and I was born in 1962, so it's a very young well. But it's got problems. It's got, at the surface, we have a leak that it's a flowing artesian well. So artesian just means the water level is coming up above the producing zone. It's a Dakota rock, sandstone. But the water here is actually flowing at the surface, and the integrity of the casing has deteriorated such that it was flowing several years ago. I think probably about 10 years ago, the district put a packer in. So they couldn't seal it at the surface anymore with a plate because there was holes in the casing. So they went down and put a packer at approximately 80 feet below ground and inflated that packer, and it stays inflated with a bottle of nitrogen until the nitrogen runs. But that packer keeps the leaks to a minimum at the surface. I went by there today and it's still leaking. So the problem with that is your integrity of the casing is old, it's got holes in it, it's eroded. The well goes, if you want, I can draw on the board, more visual, but the well goes from 0 to 518 feet. It's steel casing that's 10-inch. And then it's an open borehole from 518 to 672 in granite. And then below that, it's into the Dakota sandstone where they drilled and they put in 85/8 perforated casing. The reason to case that sandstone unit is so that the sandstone doesn't fall off. They weren't worried about the granite falling in, which I wouldn't, personally, we would put something there now, but the production zone, the goal is from 672 to 820. So 672, 820 below ground. So our approach would be to have Colorado City Metro District open the valve and release the pressure from that, which I understand may have happened recently, not by design, but when the nitrogen runs out, that packer deflates. And so then you have flowing, so then you have to move a lot of nitrogen on it. So that's already been kind of done and tested, not intentionally, but now there's a new bottle of nitrogen on it, and there's still some leakage at the surface. Once that's deflated, then we would come down, and it kind of goes through my proposal. We would mobilize with a rig, pull the packer, have a diverter and a dummy section of piping to install so that we take any water that's coming out and discharge it 10 feet from the wellhead. Currently, it's in a vault. basically flowing the concrete wall. So we need to get that so that it's away from the road. And then we would get a watertight wellhead on there, attempt to get a watertight wellhead. Tag and record the bottom of the well with a wave line. After that, we're gonna have a decision point. We're assuming we can do all that. That may or may not all work. So there's gonna be a decision point then, maybe run the packer back in and seal it, and like, again. But likely, after that, we would run a video with the well, so we have a color video, which has a downward looking home, and also a sideline. And there's an old video that Jim has of the well where they got down to 500 and something feet, and they hit what appeared to be a piece of tape or something. When they hit it, it fell and the water gets really dirty. And that's where they said, we're not going any deeper with our camera, which we would do the same thing. We probably would go deeper. But then we would probably run a 6-inch liner, a dummy liner. So get 6-inch pipe 40 feet long and run it on 2-inch pipe and run it down and see how far we can get it. Ideally, we get it to the bottom or close to the bottom, at least through the production zone, which again, that's 672, 820. So ideally, we get it all the way to 820, but even if we got it to, 750, then we know we've got half the production. And this well's flowing. The other thing to do is we'll gauge how much it's flowing up the surface without a pump. My guesstimate is it's flowing about 100 to 150 gallons per hour, without the factor in it. So then after the video is done and we get a dummy section, we would then seal it and demobilize and order material. If everything goes well, and we can get that 6-inch 40-foot section down to the bottom, then we know we can put a 6-inch liner all the way to the bottom of the depth of that. So then we would demobilize and order and design that liner section. And then, so that would be a second decision point after the video. We review the design with city staff. We remobilize and install a liner. Our goal with that liner would be to go ahead and we have a solid 6-inch liner from the surface all the way down. We're not going to leave that open hole open. And then we would install that liner. Due to the integrity of the 10-inch casing, we don't know if we're going to have to try to seal that off so we don't want flowing water at the surface. How we're going to do that, I don't know yet, but it might be a packer or it might be that we put a temporary packer down and then cement from wherever we place that packer back to the surface. And then at that point, we'd install a test pump with a pressure transducer and a data logger to monitor the water level as we test it. And then we run a test on the well up to 150 gallons a minute from a setting depth of 500 feet. We can utilize, I believe the city has electrical service there, and they did in 2021. So we can utilize the city electrical service to do that. Test the well, do a step test for 8 hours, and then do a 12-hour recovery test, monitor what's going on with the levels. And then, assuming that all goes well, we have decision point number 3, which is design and install permanent pumping equipment. So a little bit about my background. I worked for a national water well drilling pump company for 15 years right out of college. And then I joined Bruce Coker at PZA Water Engineering, which Ted's father started. And I worked as the vice president of PZA for 18 years. And then I don't know if I got smart or I got stupid, but I left there and I bought a small pump company. So the way we approach jobs is that we're a small company, but we have a lot of experience. My business partner doesn't have a degree, but he's smarter than I am and can do stuff. The way we approach things is, if this was our well, what would we do? So we try to be a team. It's not currently the well you guys have is your problem. We're trying to help you fix that problem. The engineering is just, I don't practice as a licensed professional engineer much anymore, but I think the history that I have is beneficial to our company. So that's why we do it as a step-by-step process, and we work with you guys through it to see, you know, if something comes up, we work together as a team. So we don't bid a lot of work, because that's not our goal. Our goal is to develop clients, and they trust us, we trust them, and we work together to do jobs. And thankfully, we've been successful, and we only have 8 people. We're not a huge company. We might get bigger in the future, but hopefully we keep the same philosophy. We will as long as I'm working on it, which I'm getting closer to retirement. Yeah, I hope 65, right at 5 more years. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about kind of the technical approach or what's laid out. This is dated 2021. I don't see any updates necessary. And then I included our rate sheet for 2023 in the back of it.
Good. Tommy and I had talked before the meeting, and he's gonna do some research on grants and if he can lead me in a direction where we can look for grants for this, go forward. But at this point in time, to get it online, we don't know. I'm not validating that at this point, you know. If I can get some kind of a ballpark number of where we might be at, we start working towards it. But it's a project, and I told them what projects we have going on with the dam and the gap program and everything that's happening with us, trying to get funding and stuff for all of that. That, you know, this is one of those deals that with that well being as much weight on it, that most likely to use it would be after we get the gap system in for drinking water.
So Tom, I have a couple questions. For the first technical approach and pump equipment, before you get to decision point 1, you made a comment that might not work. Why would it not work?
If we pull the packer and we can't get a video camera down
At that point, what do we do?
there, we put the packer back in, and then we probably decide this one needs to be abandoned and rebuilt.
To do that, just to get to decision point 1, what would it cost us?
You know, I would say on a high, $5,000. So somewhere between probably $3,000 and $5,000.
So once you get to that point,
Once you get to that point, the video is gonna run the video and then installing a paper, if we end up going with the dummy, to get to decision point number 2. I'd say you're probably looking at another 5 to 7. So to get to decision point number 1, I'd say 4,000 to 5,000. And then the video of the well would be 2,000. And then to install a tapered 30-foot long 6-inch dummy section, I don't know, I'd budget 4,000 to 5,000 for that. And that gets us to decision point 2. If everything looks good there, to put the liner in and do all the test pumping. So to get to decision point number 3, let's see where it hits. We're at basically 12. I think to get to decision point number 3 would probably be another, I'd say 15,000 to 20,000 if everything goes smooth. And if it doesn't go smooth, up to 30,000.
So at each decision point, the decision kind of goes to whether to continue or to abandon. Is that correct?
Well, to continue, or maybe not abandon, to continue and pause and think about and come up with something else. So we did one recently where we got the video down, but the casing was ripped. So we couldn't get a 6-inch, there was no way to get a liner in because the casing was ripped. So then we backed off. And what we did is we came up with a swedge, put a swedge patch in, ream that spot where the casing was ripped and pulled in, and ream it back out and try to swedge the patch in. Now we're waiting on that one to see. The kind of the problem that you guys have that's in a way it's a good problem is yours is artesian and flowing. The bad problem is it's flowing, and so the longer that you wait, the more degradation you have of your case. I mean, the leak's not gonna give you the flow.
Okay, it appears to me that first decision point is, kind of important.
Yeah, I would say to get to decision point two is that's the important one. If we can get a new video run and see what we've got, that's where I would want to get to.
But now to get to decision, to get to decision point one, it's a go or no go situation. If you can't even get there, then that well.
Correct.
Then,
I mean, we're assuming that the packer's gonna deflate and pull out of the hole.
Yeah.
And that's, I think it will, but for me, I mean, this is an old, it's not an old well, but there's a lot of unknown.
that helps me. Questions? Anything else? So what's our,
Well, so let me finish a little bit. So Jim had said you guys are working with Joshua Godwin on the dam project. He's with he's the CWCB, you're working through the Arkansas Roundtable. I worked quite a bit with Joshua when I was an engineer, so I'm gonna see what the potential is that we can say, look, this is a new and innovative technique. And see if there's any way we can get grants or loans. I mean, that would help, I'm sure, so. If you guys are okay with it, I would just send this proposal with an updated date on it and updated millions to Joshua and say, there's a problem here, we're trying to help them fix it. Can we get any help with CWCB, or do you think we could?
that would be a start, I guess. Is that okay with the board?
Or do we need to vote on? I would say during the regular session.
Right, I take it, this, as far as after an action, we
Can't do that
we
instead.
need to keep getting more information.
Yeah, what you can do though is under like new business, or give me direction to go that way. See if there is something out there for, well,
Okay, anything else on that? Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome. Thanks for the opportunity.
okay, next you have election resolution and costs, that's under your yellow tab, first one. Like discussed, we're at that drop dead now. We do have 7 applicants for election. Tried to make contact with surrounding counties. Nobody wants to touch it, I guess, because they aren't answering back. Did get a memo from your new clerk and reporter, and she was trying to straighten things out, and sorry about that. I looked into SDA and what was the other one you said? It was SDA, and I'll scroll through the county clerk. SDA was just basically different companies. I called around to a couple of companies. They said, we don't start this right now. You should call this in December. So, you know, well, we didn't know until the middle of January. We were not prepared for the election. They talked to Marcos, who is the one that is doing this. He says that's fine. We can pick up from here and go forward. I was get started on Wednesday. The resolution includes time to go forward.
Thank you.
Did look at budget wise. We did not allow for excise tax, which we are getting excise tax anymore. And also we had put money away for our beautification project in our we can use for the election. So we do have the money there within admin to run the election.
Questions from board?
So we're still at 30. Yeah.
Yeah.
You may.
There's no way for us to do this ourselves. We're a community of how many people?
Well, you're going to have to send it out to every lot of them. Which, you know, we went through that last year or 2 years ago, last year, and pulled out all the lot owners out of there. And there was 4,500, I think, was the ballpark figure of ballots that need to go out.
We have a cost of 4,500 calls go.
And the county won't print the ballots for us.
Well, they have their company that would print them, but the company that would count them uses a different ballot.
Well, 3,800 ballots, we could get a few volunteers out. Count 3,800 ballots.
Do you want to have that well?
For $38,000.
What I'm saying is, with the way the election has ran nationwide, and
I don't think we got a bunch of, well,
all it takes is one.
well, that's true.
I did look at the FAQs of the election. In the college statutes, it's extensive. I don't like the $38,000 either, but I don't think we have the time. We have to hire somebody.
Well, yeah, we'd have to hire somebody, but I would think we could do it for cheaper than 38 grand.
There are things that bother me, but the printing and the postage bothers the heck out of me. Other than that, I don't know if we could.
Thank you, Tom.
We have Bubble West, like I said, Bubble West, the last meeting, theirs was 130,000.
What about if we, I mean, I realize we're running out of time. But cooperation between us and Delaware.
They have a different. They still have to run the same business.
Yeah, I would imagine we could hire some individuals that are in the communities to do it. I don't know, I mean,
They're using the same company.
Yeah.
I know.
And that's what we tried to do, is we tried to combine with Bubble West, Bubble Roll Fire, Live Fire. I haven't been able to talk.
What's he doing?
I don't know. It's Father died and I haven't seen it. Has to.
Is it what they're gonna be doing?
Yeah. I don't know whether we have enough self-nominations or not. They might not even be holding an election.
They didn't have enough people.
Yeah.
Other questions?
I got nothing else.
Okay, let's move on, John.
Okay, next, when we're looking through the resolution of had for DEO, I did have a mistake in it. That's in there was I had not changed the 3-year term to a 4-year term. If you look at the first one, the small print down on line 1, to the 3-year, for several 3-year terms, that should be 4-year terms. We just need the board to accept the change as 4-year term for resolution 3.2023.
So, I guess this is,
There's one more vote when we do all of it.
whether this is the proper way to handle it. Should this resolution be a correction of 32023?
We can do it that way, or you're already at that point where if we select another DEO, which we're gonna be adding a DEO with the election company. So you're already going to be changing it. I just wanted to make sure that it was put out there that our resolution 03 will be.
I think it needs a new resolution number.
Okay, which that will be 10/20/23.
That would supersede, and the supersedes
This
this.
is resolution 3.
Okay, anything, board? No. Go ahead.
Okay, next you have CCAAC review. There is one bill that is not, they did not finish it up, which is the the Corner Birdie home and garage. They did not have it staked out. They were supposed to have it done Monday. That's why it was put on here. So you can scratch the 4283 off the list as not completed. They went out to look at it and nothing was marked out for them. Then you have letters, for action items. We have 3 cases that were closed. One that they want to send out a second letter, and then there's 5 of them that they're at the 3rd letter, they're past the 3rd letter, where it's going to take legal action to go further.
So discussion from the board, I guess, as far as questions, discussion from now, or you can do discussion after, addressing each individually. Whatever. Do you have any questions about any of this now? Any questions?
I'm not gonna vote today. For the one
These two are not.
Any questions? Comments? Okay, let's move on. Anything else in the study session? No, we don't have, I assume that we don't have the health department.
No,
No,
they're
we have
going to set it up for probably next week.
as well as Mark Perry.
Yeah.
All right. I close the study session and open the regular meeting of the board of directors, call for the Metropolitan. Yeah. 6:30. We're going to start legislating.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join in the moment of silence if you so choose. Thank you, everybody. So, let the minute show that we have, do we have Harry?
Yes, Harry is on the line.
Yes.
Harry, can you say hi?
So let the minute show that we do have a full quorum.
Harry, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
We have,
Okay, okay.
Mr. Hofstadter on Zoom. And other board members present. First off, I'd like to comment, it's good to, thanks for coming, everybody. It's good to see an audience and have some participation, so appreciate you all doing that. Can I get an approval of the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Agenda is approved. Approval of the past minutes.
You have special meeting for February 10th. You have regular meeting for February 14th. And then the CCAAC minutes for 16th and then 23rd.
Chairman, I move that we approve the aforementioned minutes.
Also,
Moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved.
Okay, if you go to your blue section, section 5 is bills payable.
Questions from the board? Well, Jim, you know,
Yeah, and I knew, and I told you about it the other day. And I did find the issue with the golf course. It was an automatic programmed thermostat, and when we turned it down, we go back in, and it would be at 75. So we reprogrammed the thermostat back down to 68, so we shouldn't have this problem in the future.
and yes, you did tell me about that. My concern is that that is so high that I'm concerned that there's something else going on. Are we sure that there's not something else going on?
Well, we have a heat pump that we're going to be replacing, the pump for the hot water that we will be replacing too. It's starting to make noise, so the power in it could be shot. So
I mean, that's
we might not be transferring the water like it should.
even higher than other places that use it that are logical. I'm concerned, we need to make sure that there's not another issue. My word, if there's a leak, we blow it, but I mean, if there's something,
There's no gas now, nothing like that, but as a gas leak, it could be, like I said, the transfer pump on it. The impeller could be shot in it, and it's just sitting there cycling, and we're not getting the heat around.
or,
So, and we're having a gentleman look at it probably tomorrow. And see what we can do.
okay, so it's going to be investigated.
What's been,
Okay. Other questions about the bill? All right, let's, can I get a motion to pay it?
make a motion.
I'll second. Moved and seconded. Questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let's pay the bill.
okay, next, your second yellow section, section 6, you have financials for the end of January 31st. If you notice, we are in the red for water. That is due to our payment that we make at the beginning of the year for our loans. That's why you're down 143. Usually by the end of May, we start seeing that back. This money has been already taken out from last year. to pay the bill this year, but it comes off of the beginning of your ledger at the beginning of the year.
So beyond that, Jim, we already have an operating loss plus a capital debt that we made the payment on. The operating loss is not as much as it was January 2022, but you're considering both of them, correct?
Yeah.
Other issues, anything? Anybody have comments? Okay. Move on then.
Okay, operational reports, look under section 7. I did give a progress report to Mr. Perry for February. We did have a meeting with the Arkansas Valley Roundtable Basin for their pre-clearing of our application that Atencio helped work on. I don't know, I'm not on this mixed emotions on it, but after talking to a couple of the members that were on the committee, they're all in favor for it. So it's going on to the next step, which the meeting is March 8th, to hear it towards the whole board. And at that point, the board will decide to move it to the CWCD board for funding.
So I'd like to input that a little bit. I was at that meeting of the Arkansas Valley Roundtable, and it was well done. There were other projects for 7, I think, was
There was 5.
that? 5 projects that were up for money. And I also think our project looked probably have the best chance. They did the people that responded, I felt like were positive about pushing it forward. So that's encouraging.
Okay, your measurements for the lake, for the dam for the week of February 23rd, we had 13.6 feet in there. 4 inch was dry, 6 inch 1 minute was 950 milliliters. Deep was dry, where was at 0.13, and pit was dry. We haven't done one this week yet. I also put in the barometer for month to month as to where we're set. And if you notice, everything's pretty much the same. Actually, pilot hole 11 is up a little bit, but nothing that it fluctuates with that, with the hyperbolic element.
So what is that number?
That's how many feet it goes down.
It's how much water is sitting
How far to the what?
inside the dam.
So that's how far down to water, basically in the test hole.
Yeah. That's how much water, when I do those readings, that's where the water level is on the inside of the dam.
Okay.
And it doesn't move with temps.
Okay, the next for reports, Harry did the letter go out with the bills. I know Neil came in and said, well, it hasn't changed much. Well, it has, it's updated a lot of the things that we had in progress and where we're at with them. The other thing that we had was looking at the next chat, that being May 16th, being our quarterly, to have like a town hall chat. Election being May 2nd, to fill 3 4-year positions. Water line replacement, where we're at. We did have, the Yoakum did put in PRV in. They were doing their static test today, which they ended up having a line blow on it. So they're having to dig up section of new line that they put in, which time we're down to fix it. As for paint, their Red Cloud is completed except for the paving. The paving is scheduled probably for the end of April, May, when the ground warms up enough that they can pave it. And our tanks, we're just waiting for Yoakum to get that water so we can make sure that line's in place so that we can take one of the tanks out at this point. One of the things that we did put in here for to check the toilets, we had one toilet that was running in a rec center that it showed like a 60,000 gallon use, and it was just because of toilet. So we gave some advice in the newsletter to be able to check your toilets, put some food quick coloring in the tank, let it set for 10, 15 minutes. If you have color down in the bowl, most likely you have either a bad stopper or floats not working right within your toilet, and at that point, you might need to have somebody look at it. Put up your water rate, your water charges over. Larry, did you have something on that?
No, I think you covered it pretty good. We're working in the right direction. I think just it takes time and the cold weather messes up a little bit, but I think just need to be cautious of your bills. But I think I think it looks pretty good.
Especially for this time of year, we take our sewer rates off of water usage from December, January, and February, because nobody's usually watering outside at this time. So that's how we decided how we charge for sewer.
Okay. Post office, I guess, I have communicated with Mr. Rowland on that. He is sending another letter out to the post office. We haven't gotten a response yet. So he's kind of taking the next step to climb a bit above and pushing the harder, but Mr. Rowland's working on that. Okay, anything else on that?
Be nice, Larry.
Read the good statement. The conduct in the minute, or the business of the board is conducted in a effective and expeditious manner. It is necessary that all persons serve and maintain a demeanor of civility toward the board, staff, and each other. Conduct that appears threatening or aggressive will not be tolerated. Shouting, speaking out of order, or the use of offensive gestures similarly are not acceptable. Such behavior shall constitute the forfeiture of your right to remain in attendance annually. The point of order brought to the board's attention by council or any board member, including the chairperson, resulting in being asked to leave the meeting by the chairperson or upon your refusal, being escorted out of the meeting by the proper authority.
Okay, Jim, Liz, I have you put on for correspondence at the end, and Ms. Randall, on the end of the meeting, correspondence that you wanted to meet with the board, so they can deal with it at that time. If you want to wait until then, unless you want to bring it out now. Then not to get it over, but because they aren't going to give you any kind of decision or anything during correspondence or under citizens input. But if you want to do it now, you can do it now and go from there. Okay. You want to make me feel the end on this? Okay.
Okay. I have not had sewer service since February 12th, 2022.
Your name, please.
Barbara Randall, I live at 4402 Arapahoe Court, just right off of Beckwith Drive, which is a cul-de-sac. And I only have 2 houses on. My sewer backed up February 12th, 2022. Took me 3 days to clean it out. I called person, service in Pueblo, they came out. They cameraed it from the outlet on the back of my house and showed a total occlusion close to my house. So they said they couldn't fix it. So I called Mr. Eckler and he suggested 3 people in this area who could help me repair my sewer. I called all 3, only one responded, and I hired. Took him 2 weeks to come out. And he got it going, put a new line in partially away from my house in my driveway. And it only worked for 10 days and then it backed up again. And I went through this process until January 30th of this year to get a new sewer line in. How I lived, I explained in detail to the board and to Mr. Eckler how I've lived in that period of time. I understand and I know that a person has to pay for their own sewer line when it's plugged up on their property to the primary sewer line. But it cost me $16,800 plus $800 to have a huge juniper removed. In all of this process, I have learned that Arapahoe Court sits on a cul-de-sac. In that cul-de-sac is a piece of land that is owned by Colorado City Metro. On that piece of land is huge juniper bushes, was planted, I don't know by who, not me, I've only been here 11 years, that was the resultant problem of my sewer line backing up and not working. So my sewer line was backed up and occluded because of juniper roots that is growing on CCMD property. And I paid for it. So what I'd like this board and everybody else answer me is, where does the responsibility come in for Colorado City Metro on their land with planning that destroys an individual sewer line? I think I have a leg to stand on here. And the other thing is that cul-de-sac has never been maintained at all by Colorado City. At all. 11 years I've been here. I bought all kinds of gravel, put on there, raked it and everything by myself. And now where the people who repaired it, it's sunk. I called them, they came out and put some gravel in it today. Where does the responsibility line end for a private individual to have to pay that kind of money for something that wasn't because of anything I planted, but what somebody else planted on Colorado City Metro property? And I've been getting duns from Colorado City Metro stating that they was going to turn my water off for months because I wasn't paying my sewer bill. Well, I don't know about any of the rest of you, but if I don't receive a service, I'm not paying for it. And I already paid $410 because my mother was in a nursing home. I was running up and down the road every other day. I was just paying all my bills, not paying any attention to anything. Plus going to friends' house, taking showers, doing my laundry, bought a camp toilet, so when it was bad, I could use that for my own personal needs, washing my dishes in a plastic deal. I went through a lot of living that is unacceptable to most people. I grew up in the country and I know what it's like not to have things. So I suffered through all of this. First person I hired to do this, who is a local person, didn't even pull a permit. And that wasn't found out till October. That person was hired for the second time after 2 camera feeds of my sewer line that showed the total occlusion was on on CCMB property because of juniper roots. And I've had to sustain all the costs of that. So I need an answer from this board and from Mr. Eckler. What is your feelings about that? And I do not want my water shut off because I refuse to pay my sewer bill since September. You know, that's just, that's insane. And I read all your little policies and procedures. I've asked 3 times for a private discussion about this. And it hasn't been granted to me. I got a call last week from Mr. Eckler that said I needed to be here tonight to bring this up. I didn't want to bring it up in the public. I don't think it's anybody else's business except mine. But I'm here now. It's now public. And I am not going to pay those back sewer bills. And you can't even turn off my sewer because your lid is covered up by those dunes that I didn't plant and who knows who planted. So how would you all like to live like that for over a year and then find out not even your fault? I took responsibility for what was close to my house. I paid a guy $1,000. I had the bushes removed for $800. And I thought it was gonna work. It didn't work. And backed up again with those bricks on CCMD property. So what is your input?
Thank you. That's something I think that we probably are going to have to discuss.
Okay, next, Bob, Kirk.
Excuse me, sir, may I ask the question? Sure. What does that mean? You're gonna discuss, are you gonna get back with me? You're gonna leave me hanging, you're gonna threaten to turn off my water again? Could you please explain what that answer means?
I would say we probably need to decide what we are going to do, what the position of the board is. I'm not so sure we can do it right now.
You need to
We need to
decide
say
whether,
this and get back to, yes.
and whether you own that land,
I'm sorry.
and you're gonna try to decide whether you own that land, which I can hold you.
We do. We don't have one.
You do. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kirk. What's
On number one, election.
election cost?
Be short and quick. This board was notified 2 years ago to prepare for this election. So just putting it off and not getting it done is unacceptable. That's it on that.
Okay, Bob Kirk, next,
Anybody
is
else?
vacating lot lines.
You know, I've heard this a number of times about vacating the lot lines from Appleton to the pond. Covenants state clearly, we cannot erase any of the covenants without a vote of the people. The only way you can remove covenants, and I mean, the only way you can do it is by vote of the people. There is one other way to technically remove them, and that's by eminent domain. Governments are given the power to take land for roads and parks. Thus, if you took the land by eminent domain, it can't be used for anything but that. So therefore, it in effect, nullifies the covenant on that piece of land. So don't think vacating the lot line erases it. It can get into some of that. Thank you.
Okay, next you have is
Selective enforcement.
selective enforcement.
Now, coming back to those same issues on that piece of land. Approximately a year ago, I turned into this board a notice that you were in violation of covenant. When I looked last week at your enforcement covenant, the covenant enforcement spreadsheet, your land is not on the enforcement. spreadsheet. Your lawyer specifically gave you instructions. Do not do any selective enforcement. When you've been selective, you kept your own property outside of covenants while you enforce covenants all the way around those properties. Next,
Next, we have,
conflict of interest.
okay, yeah.
I have been using some of my, independent journalist rights to go to meetings and listen and record them. I informed this board a couple of years ago about a member that was seeking to be a volunteer for your review committee. Told them what they had done in the past, what they were capable of. With that in mind, after I left the board, you all saw fit to quickly install that person as a volunteer. That person has now been caught doing the same thing he did before. And that is, he has investigated complaint on a camper in a yard when he himself has a camper in the yard and his neighbors have campers in the yard. You know, that's conflict of interest, no matter how you look at it, whether it's a lay person or a lawyer. When you can't turn your own self in or your neighbor, but you're only going after the people you want, no, doesn't work like this. You know,
Next is, I don't know what the last notice.
as you can tell, I'm having a slight medical issue at the moment. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to ask you, you're not, obligated, but this is 3 to 4 minutes reading. And I would ask that you read it on my behalf as well. If you don't, I will struggle through it. But I would appreciate it if you would help me out with it. And read them for your lawyer as well. Thank you.
Address to the Colorado City Metropolitan District Board of Directors. My first note to the Colorado City Metropolitan District Board of Directors and lawyers was not seriously reviewed. I know this because I was not interviewed before the Colorado City Metropolitan District Board of Directors and Colorado City Architectural Committee decided to move forward without full knowledge of what had and is happening. Conflict of interest in selective enforcement along with preservation of civil rights. As a property owner and independent journalist attending the scheduled meeting in a public place for news gathering purposes, First Amendment right, I was verbally threatened with physical harm by 2 members of the Colorado City Architectural Review Committee, instigated by one of the Colorado City Architectural Committee members, which are placed on the committee via their elected seat on the Colorado City Metropolitan District Board of Directors. Thus, they are governed by the political subdivision of the state of Colorado, Colorado City Metropolitan District, Colorado City Metropolitan District rules and regulations, including but not limited to county, state, and federal laws. This altercation happened when I, a property owner and journalist, simply asked the chairman of the Colorado City Architectural Review Committee and member of the Colorado City Architectural Committee seated by the Colorado City Metropolitan Board of Directors a single question. Are you going to make that statement, recommendation to the Colorado City Architectural Committee and Colorado City Metropolitan District Board of Directors? I was simply making note of the Colorado City Metropolitan District rules and regulations, 14.3.2E. The chairman at that point had an obligation under 14.3.9 to not treat me any different than any other property owner of the Colorado City Metropolitan District. The chairman of the committee at that time allowed 2 members of the Colorado City Architectural Review Committee to get within mere inches of my face and within inches of my back surrounding me, restricting my movement, in effect illegally detaining me, a violation of my 4th Amendment rights. While the 2 surrounding and detaining me by restricting my movement, they also threatened me with physical harm. Both said they were going to beat out of me. A clear violation of 18 U.F.C. 241. In addition, the chairman took no action to stop the Culver City Architecture Review Committee members and assist them by his lack of action to stop the infringement of my rights. He is in violation as well. In addition, the chairman and the other two members of the review committee are in violation of 18 U.S.C.242 as well. All three persons of the incident of the Culver City Architecture Review Committee violated the Culver City Metropolitan District Rules and Regulations 14.3.9, also 14.3.2B. One of the members of the Culver City Architecture Review Committee had not been attending meetings, which was set precedence for committee member attendance within the Culver City Metropolitan District Rules and Regulations 18.3.1 and 19.3.1. Should have been removed from the committee and now must be removed from the committee. At this point, we have another Culver City Architecture Review Committee member that has not met the meeting requirements as set by precedence in 18.3.1 and 19.3.1. Moving on. You are now on notification of conflict of interest by a member of the Culver City Architecture Review Committee. You were informed before his appointment that this member had in the past committed conflict of interest on the previous architecture committee. In addition, this member is on recording and admitting to conflict of interest while sitting on the federal county review board. This conflict is a violation of Culver City Metropolitan District Rules and Regulations 14.3.9. This Culver City Architectural Review Committee member has on the record investigated covenant violation, then recommended enforcement of the covenant. He himself is in violation of without reporting his own property or his neighbors with the same violation. This Culver City Architectural Review Committee member is also on record trying to protect a local business owner over the covenants and the property owner's rights in direct violation of Culver City Metropolitan District Rules and Regulations 14.3.9 and federal civil rights under 18 U.S.C. 242 as well. Your lawyer gave the Culver City Metropolitan District Board of Directors and Culver City Architectural Committee strict warning not to allow selective enforcement of the covenant. Your covenant enforcement spreadsheet is right with documentation of selective enforcement. One such selective enforcement was to make sure that the numerous complaints against residential lots belonging to the Culver City Metropolitan District were kept off review enforcement spreadsheet. That's how you covenant violations, covenant infractions from the record and the people. This is the very definition of selective enforcement. Without question, a violation of Metro Rule 14.3.9 and 18 U.S.C. 242 as well. I'm sure that if I spent a little time, I could find a violation of state laws as well. At this point, it's clear the Culver City Metropolitan District, Culver City Architectural Committee, and Culver City Architectural Review Committee have no interest in stopping the selective enforcement of the covenant, nor abiding by the Culver City Metropolitan District rules and regulations, or preservation of federal civil rights. You are hereby notified to preserve the record, all documents, including all video, audio recordings, emails, and photos, including those on the personal devices of the Culver City Architectural Committee and Culver City Architectural Review Committee members. This evidence may be required to fulfill Culver City Open Records Act requests and possible subpoenas. I know the chairman of the Culver City Metropolitan District Board of Directors does not speak on behalf of the board when we have personal discussions over a glass of tea. He can be asked by the board of directors to have discussions with individuals in an effort for the board to be more informed. I know my personal instructions with the chairman will not be brought to the board unless the board actually requests the information. That said, your chairman personally and politely asked that I do not send Culver City Metropolitan District a letter of intent to sue, nor file an insurance claim until he can speak to the board of directors about what can be done to avoid a federal lawsuit and insurance claim. I respected the chairman's personal request. However, it's time you, the Culver City Metropolitan District Board of Directors, have a genuine discussion and dialogue with your chairman and or myself. Not Cook.
Thank you.
That's all I have for citizen input.
That's all you have?
Yeah.
Okay, Treasury.
So are we gonna discuss for situation? Architectural? Or is it-
In the correspondence.
Yeah,
In correspondence.
correspondence. Okay. Those report,
Okay, attorney's report, I don't have anything.
all right. Okay, let's move on to the action item. Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, so we have resolution 3-2023. We need to make a resolution 10-2023, amending this one and changing the language of the 3 to 4 year change on that resolution.
So it's gonna be resolution 10-2023
Yes.
instead of 3-2023.
Yeah, you're gonna have another. That one will be under your resolution 9/2023 for the designated deputy DPO. Set contract stuff for the other.
Well, I guess kind of the point is, here, wouldn't it be easier to create a new resolution that rescinds this resolution, becomes the old resolution, rather than trying to word the changes?
Like I said, all it was one word. From 2 years to 4 years.
Oh, okay, I'm looking at the wrong one, the second paragraph. Yeah, all right.
So then all we have to do is say in resolution 3-2023 with the change of 3 year to 4 year.
So if it's just one word, let's just keep it the same resolution in just a moment.
That's what I got.
I make a motion that we amend resolution 3-2023. Resolution of DEO corrections from 4 years or from 3 years to 4 years.
I'll second the motion. Move and second discussion, questions? Let's go. Go ahead and vote. Harry?
Yes,
Okay. Greg?
Yes.
Sherry? Yes. Chair votes yes. Let's get that one number.
Okay, next action item is hiring of community resource services of Colorado. Contract has been went through by our attorney and changes were made to handle the election.
I need a motion.
Actually, I have a question first. That's all right.
We need to get the discussion.
We will have a motion first.
Can I get a motion that we adopt resolution 9-2023?
Well, we have to approve the contract first with hiring
Where's
community
that?
resources.
Oh, where is that?
It's with that
Oh,
resolution.
here it is. Okay. Yes. Can I get a motion that we approve that contract? I'm going to make the motion that we approve the contract, so we can get the discussion. You second it? Okay, let's discuss the question. Where did you say the number was from?
It's out of the administration. Which we have, the last 2 years, we put 40, 30. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, right after that, but we had 50,000, I believe it was, for this building, for a roof, for siding on it, to do upkeeps. And like I said, we also increased our election by 10,000 this year. Because we knew that it was gonna cost us some more, but we didn't think it was gonna be 4 times as much.
So what was put aside for the council?
Yeah, well, like I said, for the election itself, we have 15,000 put into the fund already.
And then 23 will come out.
Yes,
It frustrates me that we get behind the eight ball in this sense. I mean, we're up against it. Discussion, but
Mr. Chairman, there was no way to not be against it. Well, we, number one, didn't know that the existing county clerk was gonna get voted out of office. And we didn't know that the new county clerk would be unable to get accredited in a short period of time to run elections. There wasn't any way to do it.
so what is our option?
One of the big costs with this is the increase in ink, is what they're saying, to print ballots on paper.
Excuse.
But again, what is our option?
And we extended another year and do it like it was supposed to be done to begin with.
Yeah, it's by state statute.
I mean, I love how the state does this and they don't pay for it. They just come down and tell us, you're gonna do this. Have a nice day.
Well, when I first read this, I thought it was going to be that they would put it with all elections in November, not in May. But after talking to the lawyer on it, they still wanted to keep special districts, wanted to keep the ability to run 2 times in that year if they wanted to add a sales tax, detailer, or whatever, as that way they can have it, the choice of either option to use it on, instead of running it, which my understanding when we were in conference and doing this, they said, yeah, we're gonna change this to odd years, so that way we can run it with a presidential election and things like that to help save your city clerk or your county clerks time and effort. Well, then they still ended up keeping it, you still have to have your special district election in that year, but but
In May instead of November.
It is by state statute specifically that we have an election in May for the board of directors on the odd number of years. It is specific, and it's significant. And there's deadlines that we have to meet. I'm afraid to work against that deadline. That's kind of why I asked, what option do we have?
May I say something? Can you hear me?
You got Harry?
Yeah, I think the issue is that the newly elected deputy in charge of that was not certified to hold an election. And so since we had and all the workers, the volunteers have done it for years, and they could have done it, but we had nobody in county certified to run the election because the new person taken over last fall. So that's, if the incumbent person would have won, there probably wouldn't have been an issue. They'd have just done it like they've done it in the past. But since this woman or man, whoever it is, isn't certified yet, then we have to go elsewhere because we have nobody certified in the county to run it. And that's why we're in the pickle we're in. Am I wrong?
the thing is this going to happen now? If she doesn't, is it gonna happen in 4 more years?
No,
You know what I'm saying?
there's no guarantees that she wants to do this stuff.
Yeah,
She may just tell us, pound sand, you're gonna do it yourselves from here on out.
yeah.
But if
But
that's the case, we need to start learning how to do it ourselves.
yeah, well, at least we'd be more inclined to do it, knowing that we would have to do it. Which the next time around, yes.
Let's vote. On the agreement to provide election services Ms. Hunter, how do you vote?
Yeah.
Ms. Collins? No. Ms. Kraus? No. Ms. Hofstadter?
I have no choice. I don't think we have to go yes.
Who goes to jail? You or not?
Me.
No, definitely no. I'll come visit you though.
Oh, yeah. You gotta put that in there, don't.
I gotta vote yes. We don't have a choice.
Okay, next, resolution 9-2023, designation of the deputy DEO. This is resolution to appoint deputy designated election official, Colorado City Metro District. Whereas pursuant to 30-1-804, paragraph 2 CRS, the Board of Directors of Colorado City Metropolitan District of Pueblo County, Colorado is authorized to designate a designated election official to exercise the authority of the board in conducting the May 2nd, 2023 regular Metropolitan District the election. And whereas on January 10th, the board adopted resolution 03-2023, naming James Nairn as the designated election official and authorizing the DEO to cancel the election upon certain conditions. And whereas the board has approved a contract with the Community Resource Service of Colorado LLC, CRS, to conduct the election, and the board wishes to adopt a representative of the CRS to serve as deputy DEO. Therefore, be resolved by the board of directors of Colorado City Metropolitan District, Pueblo County, Colorado, that the board hereby names Sue Blair, whose address is 7995 East Princess Avenue, Suite 103E, Greenwood Village, Colorado, 81011, as deputy designated election official for the regular special district election scheduled for second day of May 2023. The board hereby approves and ratifies any action the DEO and Ms. Blair in accordance of the election. The board hereby authorizes and directs a deputy DEO to exercise any and all duties and responsibilities of the designated election official in connection with the election.
Can I get a motion to adopt resolution number 09-2023? If not, we will
We want the DEO to go forward with the election.
I will make that motion to adopt the resolution 9-2023. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Move to second discussion. Says, Steve Blair, 7995 East Prentice Avenue, Suite 103E, Greenwood Village, cost us $1.
Yes, it's part of that package with the whole election.
This resolution is rather moot if we don't honor the contract that we already approved. But if we do honor that contract, the agreement to provide electric services, then this resolution is critical to appoint for a deputy DEO. So they're closely tied together.
So, man,
You know,
is the DEO that we have already put in charge going to be kept informed on everything this company is doing and have a hands-on with it?
He can, but he is out of town right now. And I had to get hold of him after. He's out of town.
Probably down in Texas.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I would want the person from our community to be watching these people like a hawk.
And you can get in contact with her and.
Or why we can't do this ourselves. There's plenty of intelligent people in this community to do this ourselves.
I would entertain a motion to reintroduce that resolution if so interested, if the board's so interested. Along the line of that, I guess, Greg, I would welcome you to look at the FAQ and the state statutes, what's required for election.
Well, I mean,
It's
my personal opinion is we go to the state that, I'm not gonna voice my person. I think we should take that rule and stick it square in their lawsuit,
And we can't. So
because that's just silly that they passed that and expect us to pay for it.
So but I agree, I won't disagree whatsoever, but that's where we are. We are at that point. If we could do it ourselves, then we should do so. One thing we need to do is hire somebody, a DEO, that would be paid to go through this entire process and hire staff members to be able to handle it as well. The election statutes, the books about an inch thick, and the requirements just on simple FAQs is really very extensive. I was under the impression, like you, that we should be able to do it ourselves. When I read the FAQs, just the FAQs, not the book, when I read just the FAQs, I was intimidated. That it is extensive. You're talking about multiple hours of training of being able to do this stuff. So that's something we should explore in the future. I don't think we have time right now. We're up against the deadline. We have to get this done also by state statute. The DEO has to be in place. You have to have all kinds of information passed out by such and such a deadline. It's extensive.
Which even still, your DEO training, I don't know whether James went through all of those. Do that, yeah.
I don't think
No,
so.
I'm sure he has it.
There's a significant.
Because the only, I know in the past with the DEO, either you didn't have enough people that were running, or you had just enough people that you had to cancel elections. So DEO at that time, all he did was check to make sure that elector was elector of the community, owned property, and he was registered to vote. That's how a DEO used to be. Where now there's more guidelines and things that happen with this process to be the DEO.
It is intimidating. I know, I think that maybe, again, I would entertain readdressing that resolution if we could decide that we have enough time to do so. But we're looking against, I'm not so sure we have 2 weeks to get this done. We have to get it done quickly. We don't have, we're up against deadlines.
Because with James being gone, I contacted this Marco that is part of this company and said, my DEO, and I need to go through this, right? And make sure we were on the page as to making sure that the electors were qualified to run and all of that. And just we sat down, said, now this is what we need to do. We need to find out are they registered voters. So we went through the registered voter list and pulled their names out, make sure that they were registered voters. Also, that if they weren't a registered voter, if they were a landowner within the district, which met all the qualifications. So yes, they are all qualified through this company too. Because I wanted to make sure that if we go into this, they have everything and they're ready to jump on it right away too.
Did he give you a deadline?
Tomorrow. He said, if I can get all this, get the contract signed and moving forward, we're okay to go.
Mr. Elliott,
Yes, sir.
yeah, I'm concerned I'm concerned about the legal ramifications because back in the old days, a handshake between people was bonding. And if you had 7 people running for the board and they all shook their hands and said, okay, we'll just go out and vote and the top 3 win the election and that's going to be it without any legal ramifications, I'd say, let's do it. But I think those days are over and we cannot take a chance because someone will say somewhere somebody cheated. And I think it's too bad it got to that point, but I think that we have no choice to protect ourselves because I think we'd be also, I think lawsuits would happen, which is really to my detriment. I mean, I don't think we need them, but I just, we have too much at stake for that. Thank you.
No, we don't know what it would cost us after hiring everybody and the cost for the ballots and. I don't know what it is, but the responsibility of it. I think it's bad that we have to pay that much for it. The state and county can go about it. I don't know if you have a choice either.
That frustrates the dickens out of me, boy. This scope of work,
I think that's one of the reasons why your clerk and recorder wanted to be certified in before because of all the regulations that go into it. That's why she didn't want to handle
okay, we have voted on the resolution, we're on the contract, now we're voting on the resolution. Let's vote. On the resolution to,
appoint deputies.
she go. 09-2023, let's go. Mr. Hochsteller, how do you vote?
Yes,
Mr. Kraus? Yes. Mr. Collins?
Yeah. Yes.
Chair votes, I should go, no. Yes.
I'll wait till after the meeting.
All right, let's move on, Joe.
Okay, old business, Applewood, weather's not been favorable the last 2 weeks, so still there. As Mr. Cook, we're gonna have to discuss that with the board as to, I'm gonna contact the attorney on it, and eminent domain.
Okay,
We can put the well here if you want to give me directions from, what we discussed, Mr. Bacon.
I would make a motion. I would make a motion, that we fund step 1 of the recovery of that well. Stage 1.
okay, motion made, do I get a second? Moved in second, discussion. I kind of got the impression that he was going to get some more information before we were going to take a step, is that?
Yeah, that's to look for funding and stuff for it.
We still get funding for it if we do step 1. Step 1 was how much? Max? About 5 grand. We just spent $38,000 on it, useless asphalt. I think we can spend 5 grand on trying to get a valuable water source back. Something that we actually need. And for that matter, we can take that money. We can take the 5,000 out of our tap.
That's not enterprise anyway.
I guess my comment is just like, seen like two things already this week where they're not in budget. And, I mean,
We
if
put
we,
it in budget. We do.
well, no, we can't do that. I mean, what, I have to use actual dollars. that
We can
come
put it
in.
in the budget.
No, you can decide whatever you want. I was just gonna make a comment. I'm just seeing where we're adding expenses where they're not in the budget. And so we get more taxes in that will cover it, but we don't know that until we get to the year. We see if it's gonna get covered. If it doesn't, then we're at another budget amendment and we have to find out where we're getting money from.
So I want to make perfectly clear, I'm not talking about funding the whole project.
Right,
I'm talking about the first part of the project. So we even know whether or not it's worth doing. Because if the first part of the project is no, then it's pretty much, well, we abandon that well and talk about drilling another.
no, I understand exactly what he explained. I'm just saying, I would be remiss as a finance director if I did not say that this is not in the budget.
But we've got plenty of money in the tap fees. And that's what the tap fees are for, is stuff like this.
No, I
Yeah,
get that, but the trending, if I see the trending of what's going on, and I've talked to Jim about this, our expenses are probably gonna be, at this point, more than what was projected already.
And the tap fees can't be used. The tap fees
They
cannot
can
be
be
used. That's it. They can only be used for tap and stuff.
Well, no, I spoke with our auditor, and he said they can be used for other things. It does not have to be just capital.
Or did this change?
This would be, I don't know if it's like, probably be a repair, which isn't capital.
Okay, so that's, understand, we can budget, I understand your,
I mean, $5,000.
your motion. Wait, so would you be willing to amend that motion to delay it, to get more information from him about, his success at finding, finance? And
But if he finds a grant, okay, if he finds a grant for the rest of it, they'll pay us back for the first half. If he finds a grant, sorry, I'll yield.
It would probably be easier to get a grant if we knew that was something we could do.
We've already put the $5,000.
Yeah,
into it.
if we get a grant, it helps, not knowing that we can even do it, we might not be able to get a grant at all.
okay, any questions, discussion, other questions?
You got a motion, you got, you don't want to second.
Not one?
Yeah, she seconded.
I just want to make sure.
Sarah said,
Anything else? Mr. Cook, did you have something?
Just a quick note on the budgeting. I understand what Mr. Collins is talking about, and with his $5,000, if you think back just a couple of meetings ago, you sold a lot for basically $5,000 to have the money. Thank you.
Okay, let's go. Ms. Hunter?
Yes.
Mr. Kraus?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
yes.
Mr. Dockstader?
Yes,
I'm gonna vote no. I think we should let him get his more information, but it's passed, so I can vote no. On old business, Jim, the rec center, kind of an update on the rec center.
Josh, you wanna speak to that? I know you're working on it.
Trying to build a new garage. We're looking at a total of 4,500 put it in the garage. So that's completely.
That's in process. So
We haven't ordered the garage door yet or anything, but have it in stock.
the rec center is going to be changed,
It's not the rest.
not the rec center, the building next to the rec center.
Yes. The building has been
It's
used
going to be changed, so the part that's going to be sold.
for the shop.
Okay. Okay, any other old business, anybody have? Okay, let's move on.
New business. I don't have anything else.
Anybody have new business? Okay.
Okay, ACC, new construction. There's a garage on 4018 Bent Brothers Court. The information packet is in your red section. For location on the lot, and it has been reviewed, and do you have anything, Larry?
No, the question was covered. And that's been answered. Covered enough.
Page.
All right. It looks like it's, I'm thinking it's got that, that's a B4 lot. Is it not? No, that's not.
Lot itself.
And, anyway, it's been through the steps. It's, this is got the 100.
No.
Oh, no.
The 21's over on the other side of over 65.
All right. Let's vote on that new construction. Anybody can begin with it. A motion to approve that. I move we approve the garage construction at 4018 Metropolitan Court. Second, please, second. Discussion, questions? Let's go. Where have you go? Greg?
Yes.
Sherry? Yes. Harry?
Yes,
And Joe votes yes.
Okay, next you have action items. Which said you have 3 closed and completed. And you have 1 second letter. And you have 3 legal action as board choice.
Okay, so the 4011 Colorado Boulevard.
And it's closed on.
That's the recommendation is that the trash has been picked up, it's been cleaned up.
Yes. Then you have 5015 V Hill Drive, close file cleaned up. And you have 4672 East Jefferson, property has been cleaned up.
Okay, all of your violations because of the trash, basically. Or covenant 3.
So then you have, the next is your request for second letter. This is for 2898 Applewood Drive. I have no, RVs are to be stored in rear lot.
No correspondence.
Yeah, no, there was no correspondence from the action first sentence. Do you want to make a motion on that to send the second letter?
Let's do the closed, suggested closed ones first. Okay. Let's, we get a motion on, closing off those 2. Anybody make a motion to close the 3 suggested closed ones? Full second.
I'll second.
Moving second. Questions? Let's vote. Sarah, how do you vote? Greg?
Yes.
Harry? Yes.
Yes,
Okay, the other Harry, Harry Junior, yeah. Chair votes yes, so 4-3. Second letter,
Second letter, like I said, it's 2898 Applewood Drive. Violation is RVs is in the front yard, should be stored in the back lot. First letter was sent out with no response, no change.
get a motion on that. And I move we send the second letter to Tommy and move it after this one. Get a second? Move the second, questions?
is there room for it to go in the back of the lot?
Is there room for it to go in the back of the lot? Is Mr. Hostetler's question.
Now, for covenants, I don't know that that's pertinent question. I mean, I don't think it matters.
Some of these lots have drop off on that. I don't know. You have to look at that.
I don't know. Is that an open question? Any other questions?
So I guess the reason why I opposed the motion is that those are, the church is not responsible at all.
Right.
Rather than to say, this is what you can do.
Right.
Rather than this report.
Let's go. Sarah, how you going? Ready?
No.
Ready? Yes. Harry?
No, unless I know if it has room to put it in the back of the lot.
Okay, chair votes yes. 10 second letter.
Okay. Then you have, 5 letters that are at the point of legal. You have 4715 Corn Verde Boulevard. 3 letters were sent. I don't know what the action is. There was abandoned vehicles, non-operational vehicles. Then you have, you want to go through them or you want to go on, do them one at a time? Mr. Chairman, you want to go through them one at a time or do you want
I guess so. We need to address each one of them. What do we do about 4715 Pioneer Road?
So Larry, are you familiar with these spots?
No, these all predated. Because it's difficult to ask questions to the newspaper.
Your chairman was the one.
I would move that on something as serious as possible taking legal action. Someone who would, someone who was actually visibly seeing what's going on. So we want to, is that what? Yes.
I'll second that.
With a second question? So we move these, what we said, move these to the next meeting. Okay, let's vote. Sure. Rick?
Yes.
Jerry? Yes. Harry?
Yes,
I vote no. But, all right, so we move to next year. Just like, I'm just. All right. Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, next correspondence, Benny Dennison, ignored. There is a request to meet with the board over a water bill.
Members of the board, director, thanks for your time. Thanks for your service. Been on that side of the table. There's a lot more fun on this side. You know, I own many properties in Colorado City, but this is, I would love to even own more. This is 2813/20 Applewood Drive. Or if you predate that, it's 193 Applewood Drive. So let's go with 2813 for the purpose of this meeting. We know I'm a school teacher, so we did agree to go with the 45-minute period as opposed to the 90-minute block. Mr. Davis will appreciate that.
Yep.
And I didn't know we had a Zoomer, but I will certainly pass the information on to you as well. I'll attempt to be brief, not my forte. So, 31 years in education, 22 in real estate. It only took me 10 years to figure out you couldn't just teach, you had to actually make money too. Let's start with June 1st, 1969. We'll work out from there. That's when I was born in Colorado City on Thursday Day, delivered by my father. And so I've been around Colorado City a long, long time. 50 out of 54 years in the Greenhorn Valley. I really love this area. I know there's nothing perfect about Rye, but I will say that it's kind of been like watching a really struggling neighbor, severe problems sometimes. And I've done everything that I can do in my power to always try to do my best for Colorado City, despite being a Rye resident. Unfortunately, right now on the real estate side, Colorado City seems to be having quite an exodus. Never seen so many lots being listed daily. Homes being listed in a very depressed market with no inventory. Colorado City sales are booming. I can't help but think that people are wanting to get out. And thanks to your hard work, maybe we can turn that around. All right, 1969, we're gonna go to 2007. I purchased this home as a rental to assist a friend and avoid his foreclosure. Then we'll jump to 2022. That was the final year the home was a rental. That was in September. So from January to September, the average bill was $140. Whereas it used to be $50 to $60 15 years ago. I guess that's just sign of the times. $140. 2022 September, the renters moved out. Rehab went underway. The home is going to be absolutely beautiful. Stucco on the outside, everything completely remodeled all the way throughout the home. Be a beautiful addition to the neighborhood and immediately bump the property values up. The bill averaged $116. Then came November, December 2022, where the water was actually turned off at the street. And then the bill came in with 41,900 gallons of usage. That would show up. Not a drop under the house, not a drop near the house. There's nothing near the street. 41,900 gallons plus $385 bill. Once again, the water was shut off at the street on December 17th, 2022. Now, January 2023, this month's bill is in with zero water usage, $116 bill, exactly like the others. Make it short and sweet and simple. And what ma'am here presented earlier, Mr. Randall. I did not use the water bill. Colorado City did not lose the water that was billed. Therefore, I have no intention to pay the bill. The overage. And you'll see in the documentation that I eagerly paid $132 of the $365. There's no issue with that whatsoever. As I will continue to pay. Number one, please do not turn my service off. And number two, please waive the $253.01 for the continued betterment of Colorado City. Happy to field any questions, clarify, discuss. Talk politics, you name it.
Questions?
Oh, actually, not to you, this is to you. What's the $116 base fee?
That's because of the sewer fee and the water on that. Because when the previous renter or whatever, that's how much water they used, and it was calculated between December and
So the
February.
reason why it's $116.
Is because of the water usage at that time last
And the water usage now is zero, is that correct?
year. Yeah, it's zero now because it is shut off, or it was shut off. Did you have it turned back on?
No, sir.
Okay.
We're still working on the house. We won't turn it on until it's shut.
Okay.
10,000, yeah, usage in January, February last year.
Yeah, so the $27 is the water, 81 is the sewer, throw some taxes and fees in there, $116.
That's
Which-
Well, I understand that,
Right.
but if the water's shut off, why are we charging them anything?
The thing is, okay, and it's like I told Danny is that if he'd have called us and had us shut off the water, then we could have had meter reading at that time. He had his plumber or whatever shut it off, which we didn't have a reading. So that's why we don't know whether that water was used, it was going into a toilet, whatever was a toilet running for, and that's one of the things that we, like with us, with the rec center, yeah, we had a toilet that ran, you didn't see any usage outside, you didn't see a leak or whatever, but yet that water was run through the meter. Whereas if we'd known and had a call where we shut off the meter, that's why anytime we don't allow people to tamper with meters, which is, it's a federal charge, to tamper with our meters, and your charge. You know, as our district does, is if somebody calls and they say, hey, I have work that I need to change a valve in my house, can somebody come over and turn off our meter? We send a guy from the crew, goes over, shuts off the water at the main, they'll call us back when they have it fixed, and they'll turn it back on for them. It's a constant that we do that without charging them. But when we have somebody else that shuts it off, we don't know any possible damage that can happen to without the meters.
Is this one of the old meters or is this one of the?
It's one of the old ones.
And therefore I would add that it's probably faulty. And for 25 years, and I appreciate the relatively new policy, I've never heard it before. I think that's a good idea, but for 25 years, You know, when we needed to shut the water off, we go to the street, shut the water off. So certainly a certified plumber has done that before.
But the thing about it is, we don't know whether it was because of a leak or a leaky toilet or whatever, and all of a sudden now they shut off and we have zero reading. I mean, yeah, for the last 2 months, it's been zero, so you've informed us that, hey, you had it shut off because you had repairs that you were doing, plumbing.
And it was very close to zero prior to that. So, once again, the 41,900, I didn't use it, Florida City didn't lose it. It's pretty simple.
That was similar to what the rec center needed.
Yeah.
They had 40,000.
So when, when the runner moved out, is there anybody there that checked the house to make sure that the toilet wasn't running or anything like that?
That'd be me, sure. Absolutely. It's many times they are. Nor did I suspect that because our renters bill were very consistent, or very few bucks a month. But yeah, I did check that.
This is a dilemma. So in my research on the meters, on the old meters, it's not likely that meter would be that faulty. Even the meters that are 50 years old will be typically not more than 15% off. So that's but I don't know.
Which is, and thanks to whoever at Metro called me right then. I mean, we were at the house every day anyway, but there's no water anywhere. That amount, I don't know. I mean, the toilet has no issues. Never has to have. It's brand new.
It is brand new now, but it was old. It was old.
I think it was replaced a year ago. So it's about the.
I know what I'd do if this was my business. I would just waive the fee and be done with it. But this ain't my business. This is Colorado City. I don't know. I do sure wish you would have had Colorado City shut it off.
And I'll certainly go with that process in the future. If I don't sell out at the lowest price as possible and leave, and just vacate Colorado City with the rest of the group.
Input. We need some input. Terry?
Well, I'm just looking at this graph and I'm wondering how the graph can look like it does. And there be uses.
Like I said, it could be the toilet down.
Well, I mean, then the graph,
Well, for December, it's showing that the graph is that usage being.
oh,
Yeah, the graph did go up for December. That's what he's.
Yeah, that's 253 adjustment. Dollars for the 4,000. That was.
and December, nobody was gonna do.
No. And the 17th is when the water was turned off. To replace all water heater, this, all those. So we wouldn't use thousands of gallons of water
You could use 80.
and have absolutely no chance of freezing anything. Take it all back up.
And I know when Christie Casino, she had called you and informed you of it, and we went out and had it, she had it reread, I think twice, to make sure that it was this amount of gallons. And then that's when you called and we talked, and it said, well, when was the last time? Who shut it off? Was it us? If you shut it off, then we would have a meter reading at that time as to saying, okay,
And we didn't charge. If we shut it off, we would, and it showed something, we would not charge.
Yeah. So are we out, because he's on the old meters, did any of these, did the months before get averaged?
No,
Or did we actually read the meters?
those were actually. If we didn't have any snow on the ground or anything like that, where we did not open them.
Well. Can I ask you a question?
No,
Any? Do you have a sprinkler system on
No, never has that.
them? Sometimes they can freeze and if they're on a system, they can freeze. And then they run.
That's it.
what to do? So, probably the main problem I see here is precedence.
Well, that's the whole problem I got, is that, because if it was a leaky toilet, then we're gonna have everybody and their brother in here, whenever they got a leaky toilet, telling us the same thing that he's telling us. And I'm not saying you're being dishonest. I'm just saying that if we set this precedent, then we're gonna have, it's just gonna happen over and over and over. Is what my feeling is, I should say. But then again, if this was my business, I would just, yeah, done, have a nice day.
No, it's completely a matter of, you know, precedence for me as well, and that is that, I mean, I could vary it in the expenses for sure. It's a matter of principle.
Mr. Cook?
You talk about precedents, you've already set the precedents with one of the businesses locally that you forgave an anomaly.
And there are anomalies, and there's also very few people who are willing to spend 2 hours of their evening helping out.
I make a motion at this time that we forgive the overage.
Moved and seconded. More discussion. Questions? Okay, let's vote.
Trailers are doing July 15th to 29th.
Is Harry talking?
No.
Okay. Harry, how do you vote?
No,
Terry?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
What was that?
Yes.
Yes, it was? I can't hear you something. I vote no. It passes, we forgive their overage.
Thanks again for your time and service. It is very much appreciated.
Okay, next, we have, Ms. Rundle.
Mr. Randall's already, given a presentation and, discussion on the board.
May I say something before your discussion?
I'm sorry?
May I say something before your discussion?
Yes, you may.
You all received the letters that I sent you and all my comments with my bill. I want to make clear I paid my water bill. Period. And when I started refusing to pay my sewer bill, this became an issue. And I think that's just silly. It doesn't show good judgment. It doesn't work, in the story.
Discussion? Questions?
So you had the sewer line completely rebuilt. It's
As
not-
of January 30th, it has been inspected and passed. And I wrote on my last water bill that I will start paying my sewer fee as of January 30th.
Haven't done it.
I haven't got the bill months yet. And I will figure out by day how much of the charge in case it's a few days more or not. I still paid $410 for what it's worth. I have all the documents to prove all that.
So the person who cleared it, what did he say when you went back to him and said it's not working already after 10 days?
The first time
Both times, either time.
that the roots near the house initially clogged it up when I had the first plumber come out. I took responsibility for that, hired somebody, they replaced it without inspection. And then it only lasted for 10 days, it backed up again, I had to clean it up again. From that point on, I didn't use it. Then when I finally got the person who said they would come do this for me in June, they kept putting me off, putting me off, putting me off. And then they had some guy from Rye by the name of Anthony, who has a business up there. He stuck a camera down it in the new cleanout. And he couldn't get past where the road is, where the cul-de-sac road is, completely black. Nothing was running through it. He broke his camera the first time. I had to wait on him to get back down. And then when the individual that I hired to do that came and dug up a hole in the middle of the driveway and said, oh, I can't do this. The drop isn't the 1/3 of an inch every foot that's required. You're gonna have to put like a septic tank in with a grinder and all this. This thing's worked for all these years and now it's backed up. So finally, I ended up calling Roto-Rooter. I tried to stay local, to keep local businesses hired, but I'm not gonna do that anymore. I got Roto-Rooter to come up here and first they had a machine that they walked around with that showed where the line was, which Colorado City Metro doesn't have that machine to find any of the lines up here, which I think is probably something they ought to buy, but I don't sell on that board and that's it. But Roto-Rooter stuck their camera down, same thing, completely included, nothing's passing in the store. So they decided, okay, we're gonna put in the new line. They had to tear out the line that was already put in because it didn't have a permit, even though the inspector came out and looked at it and said, oh yeah, it's okay. Well, it doesn't matter. They wouldn't take responsibility for what he did. So they had to start from the beginning and go clear out and then under that, and they bypassed the roots, they bypassed the juniper bushes, and then they hooked up to the spur line off of the main sewer line. And then it took them 3 times to get it inspected to meet it because they're very picky about that 1/3 of an inch every foot. And it didn't pass. One time it had ice on it and the guy wouldn't do it. And I don't know, there could be issues. I'm not gonna say that. There just could be issues. So it was plugged up. And I don't like the way I have to live, but I did. I tried to be, but enough's enough.
So what finished the Roto-Rooter story? So
The Roto-Rooter charged me $15,800 to put the new system in so it would work. The $1,000 I paid the first person was like just burning it up.
right.
So it cost me $16,800 for that.
And now it works.
Of course, since January 30th, it works just fine.
So then I'm confused. What are you asking us?
I want to, number one, $410 I paid while I was running up and down the road seeing my mom in the nursing home. I wasn't paying attention. I just needed to deal with what I had to deal with. When she died in September, I sat down and looked at those bills and said, no, this is crazy. How am I paying this for when I'm not having a service? So $410 I paid to the Metro District for nothing. And then when I refused to start paying, when it wasn't working, then I got these threats, you're gonna turn my water off. But I've been paying my water bill, including the added $1.53 and the other tax. So now, frankly, when I found out that the roots that included my sewer line are on CC&D property that
And that
wasn't
was-
managed.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. If I don't ask questions when I think of them, they're long gone. So that was the
the cameraman who told you that it was our roots was the one who didn't draw the print.
No,
No.
the first guy with his camera was the one who cleaned it out. And the first roots was by my house. So, okay, no problem, I took care of that. When it quit working 10 days later, and then I had to wait all this time for somebody else to come help, then this person that I hired to do it, still locally, had this Anthony from Rye come down and camera it, and broke the camera the first time. The second time, he said, I can't go any further than your driveway, because it's totally occluded, it's totally black, and it doesn't look like it's running well. Duh, it hasn't been running. So then, when Roto-Rooter comes out, I have to go through all that process again, and they put the camera down, and I hear the very same thing. So I hired him to put my new sewer line in, and finally got done. So my sewer's working. So what I want, I guess, is $410 to be applied to my next bills until it comes out even. Now I want to find out who's going to take responsibility for CCMD property at Roots that cost me a total of $16,800.
So, can I, what was your old one? What kind of pipe or whatever, what was
It was plastic, it was 10 gauge.
it? And
It was built 50 years ago. They put in 20 gauge.
this was your line cracked?
My line was full of roots, which meant it was cracked and occluded with roots near my home. They didn't dig up the old line because they would have had to dig up the bushes, which is on CCMD property with the roots. So they bypassed the whole thing and went out where there's no roots, all in virgin soil, which is horrible soil up here. And then they connected it to the spur on the sewer line. Problem, isn't it?
Questions,
So
suggestions?
for the roots, so unfortunately, I had an experience fairly similar to yours. When I lived over there on Loomer Drive, I had to redo my entire front sewer line going out to the street because my neighbor's tree roots had grown into it. And I found out at that time that I could have cut those roots since they were on my property. I can cut any limbs that hang on the property, but he's not responsible for anything that grew on top. I can cut him if I want. It's legal, but he wasn't responsible because I was going to see if his homeowners.
That's your neighbor. This is Colorado City Metro.
Well, which is still your neighbor.
Not very friendly neighbors.
Well, I mean, I thought my neighbor was a friendly neighbor, and quite frankly, I didn't hold it against him because he couldn't control those roots.
That's why did Colorado City Metro allow invasive juniper plants to be planted on their property that caused that problem that destroyed my sewer. Why wasn't that managed correctly and monitored correctly? And why hasn't the cul-de-sac been taken care of, because it is not county road? That cul-de-sac has never been touched by CCDD. I've had to put gravel on it for 11 years.
They cul-de-sac, I think that's good.
You know, until we looked at it, I was having it done.
But it is already, you know how that got dropped.
Because it was one of the first two houses here in Colorado City. And when they adopted all the roads, I thought it was one that was adopted with all of the other roads. And what I was just like, so I think that's what has happened over the years. It was assumed that over time, adopted them, but they didn't do it.
So I don't think we can take responsibility for the roads. I think that we have two issues here. We have the what Joe said, the two issues, the roots and the sewer charge, the fee for the sewer charge. I don't believe that we can take responsibility for the roots. Now, the sewer charge becomes a discussion issue. That's up to the board.
Well, sir, thinking it's not your responsibility and showing it's your responsibility is two different things.
That's correct. That would be a legal issue. We would have
Yes,
to check
it
with
is a
our
legal
attorney. The precedents from the past, like Mr. Collins said, the neighbors' roots aren't the problem of the neighbors,
This isn't a private homeowner, this is a metro district.
which is your neighbor. Like, that is your neighbor. So but you're right, that becomes a legal question.
It sure does.
Our line, I crew went up, we jetted the line, our line, there was no roots in it, it was fair. It was the main trunk line coming. And it was,
But you have a different type of
So,
piping, right?
and it's all depends on.
And how would you know if it-
Responsibility through our rules and regs is, our responsibility is the main, as a homeowner, you're responsible for the main to your house.
So I personally, guys, would agree to waiving the bills for the sewer part while their sewer line is down. That'd be my suggestion, but I would not. Yeah, But I
Well,
would
no,
not
that's not all, sir. It's 405 in, and the other that I have not paid since September.
from the time your sewer line is down till the time it was repaired, I would be willing to waive those bills. Because she was not putting any sewer down. However, I would not want this board to admit guilt to anything. And I would stipulate in my views anyway, that if we refund that part, that we are not admitting guilt to anything. I don't feel like it's our fault.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think it's a matter of guilt at all. I will bet that if you check Colorado regulations, I mean, if you could get people whose trees got your pipes, that would fill the courts.
Then what are you gonna do when the water line runs underneath?
Well, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, I don't think that is a legal issue. I think that's probably one side thing. But maybe I'm wrong, I'm certainly not an attorney. But I would second Mr. Collins' motion to, I'm starting with it very much saying. I would second Mr. Collins' motion. Forgive the sewer.
One of the issues that told me in her usage of water for May, June, July, August, September, October, even into November. You look at from 5,000 to over 10,000 gallons of usage of water. So where that's not designated as a water, or it's not designated as sewer. Yeah, but that's where you end up charging your sewer rate is off of your water usage.
I understand. But if I understood you right, you paid for the water.
I did pay for the water. My usage of water, as I explained in my letter, Mr. Heffler. I used the toilet and caught it in a tap, put it in a 5-gallon bucket, diluted it, took it outside and threw it out. I used the water to wash my dishes in the sink with plastic. I stood in the shower and I had a horse trough that I ran the water in, and once it set, I took a cup and put it in 2.5 gallon containers and sit outside and pour it on my plants. You already told me in August that I use more water than a family of 2 or 3 people. You don't have a right to say that. to
No,
me,
I'm just saying,
Nor do you have a right to monitor how much water I use. There's nothing in the regs that says you can only do so much water if you're a person of one or you have, people visiting.
saying that as usage, that's what we put our rates on.
I know. Plus I have a lot of outside.
Okay, we have a motion to forgive the water, the sewer fee during the time that your sewer was inoperable. That is what we're discussing at this point.
And a refund of what I paid, sir,
With, I'm sorry, what?
and a refund of what I paid and what
The motion was to forgive the sewer fee during the time that your sewer was under.
And I think we would need, you already know
Hold
when,
on now. That motion was, we had a motion and a second, so now we're at discussion.
okay,
I'll go there.
so, I would want, the service date bill for when the first guy came out. When your sewer was built, and then the final bill when it was repaired. That way we know what dates we're talking.
I told you in the letter that backed up February the 12th, 2020.
I think,
You didn't ask this other gentleman for his bill for the farmer's turn his water off. So now you're going to do this to me?
yes, I think so,
Why?
because you're asking us for how many months?
Almost a year.
13 months. Okay, he was talking about a month. You're talking about 13 months.
No. February to January, it's not.
Months. But 11 months,
That's, yeah, so we would need, I think that the other question is, we would need a bill from them, when you found a polluted sewer line to the end, the date it was fixed.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
No, I don't think so. But,
Right here.
what is it? Anything else for it? Any other question? Discussion?
If you take the sewer bill for the 4054, and 11 months to be 404. 445 hours and 46.
If we're going to do this, I guess, should we, if this is going to become
Wait a
a
second.
disagreement that goes forward and continues to go forward, then we need to, either let it go to the lawyers or correct it now, take care of it now. So would you consider an amendment that if we're going to do that we're released from liability of replacement. So
Yeah. Oh, that's fine. If we're going to do that, that she signs a release of liability. I think we have to second.
May I say something?
Go ahead, Eric.
My question is, looking at the water lines and the sewer lines when they were put in, today you have to put Schedule 40 in there for sewer lines. And from my experience building in houses, if the sewer line is on your property and the city cleans out all the lines that are around on public properties and keeps them clean and out of goodwill to a homeowner happens to scope their sewer line to clean it out, and it keeps plugging up on their property, I think it's the homeowner's obligation to get their sewer line fixed. And I think that I have a big question, when you're using that much water, I don't know why, maybe I'm missing something. And I know she takes a lot of stuff out on plastic bag and bottles and buckets and stuff, but that's a heck of a lot of water monthly for one person in a household. So, and she, I feel sorry for her having to put a new sewer line in, but a lot of people have to because of roots. And when they're using inferior products to begin with, back in the 60s and 70s, then you have problems with cave-ins and plugs. I yield.
All right, anything else? Let's go.
You reread the motion.
It's up to you.
Well, I was hoping somebody over there was writing that. Okay, so I just want to make sure that we're voting on this correctly. We're making a motion to forgive her sewer bills. Between the months that her sewer was down, approved by her repair bills. And she will have to sign a waiver relinquishing us from any future responsibility.
Responsible for the sewer line, not to replace the sewer line.
For replacing the sewer. Is that correct?
Right. Okay, let's vote. Go. Yes. Greg?
Yes.
Terry? Yes. Barry?
No.
Go ahead. No. Okay, we are going to, if you would get us a repair bills on both ends. And we will do it. And we need to also drop a release of liability. Understanding, of course, that it's conditional, that we refund or forgive the sewer charges for that period with the release of liability. Okay, what's next?
I have, Jim and Liz, anybody?
We turned in a letter to the office on Friday. We go, she was gonna get it to me, so I hope we got it, but we basically we built a house on Douglas Way last year and completed it in July. Received our moving certificate in August. And anyway, but before that, we spoke with Jim about the road going in there, because it was in pretty tough shape. when we First get started, and it's a city road or street, and they went ahead and did some work, so with their contract moving. But he said, if you sign this expedited road construction permit, if you purchase it for $2,500, the road will be, speed up the completion of the road for it. And if you read at the bottom here, it says, will be graded for the time of build out and not gravel until the build out is complete, survey and taps are completed. Well, we've been in the house since last July and the road hasn't been completed. Now, some work has been done by the contractor who put in a new water main that came about halfway up the road, put in a fire hydrant there. And, but we still, the cul-de-sac portion of the valley road hasn't been completed. And what happens is this time of year, with the snow and the thaw and the snow and the thaw, it turns to mud. And we really need that cul-de-sac completed so that we don't have to fight this anymore. And we talked to Jim many times about it, and it hasn't been completed yet. That's why we went this route.
a completely gravel road sometimes. Monthly updates, until the road is completed, because he's getting sick of us coming in, he made that clear to us. We're getting sick of having to come in here and this, and if if the city has not completed their contract, shouldn't they be the ones that let us update us on a regular basis as to
why they can't.
why they can't complete it and what the expectations are? Shouldn't they be the ones to contact? Should we have to come running in here every 3 weeks or 4 weeks to find out what's happening?
Been almost 2 years since we purchased or paid for the expedition of the road.
And then it was our understanding that it would be that it was apparently the covenants or whatever they are supposed to be 18 months for those considered after the permits and all that kind of stuff, and stuff. Well, it is long past that, and we paid to expedite.
Yeah.
So
We would
we're not sure what's holding everything up, because there's a different excuse every time. And I know there's a different excuse every time, because things are happening, it's either too cold, or too hot, or too wet, or too dry, or there's always something, and I understand that, but when can we expect that?
Where is Douglas Way?
Right off the road farm. It was a project with the soup water line going through that. We did go in and, well, we prepared the road, bladed it, gravel down, put it into go. Explained to them that we were going to have to put in new water line and stuff into that cul-de-sac. That was part of our project. They got all their, the day that they had planted the hydrant, they came down to see me, well, when I was gonna get our road done. So now they just finished the hydrant. I'll tell them and find out where we can go further. I went up and seen about it. They went in, they put in the demo, I told Donnie they needed to finish the road out and stuff for them, get it done. And after talking to him, I thought the cul-de-sac was completed. I didn't know whether it was just they did to where they dug the line or whether it was complete cul-de-sac. But my thought, my concern was that the hydrant was going to be within the end of the cul-de-sac. Which they ran into rock and said, I guess I wanted to cut it real short to put the hydrant to the cul-de-sac at a different position. At this point, Aiden, is that cul-de-sac completed?
It is not, to be quite frank, it is complete. Be quite frank, it is not. You can even see in the photos, he's taken, how, where we built our driveway, it dips down to the cul-de-sac. Well, along here, here's where we finished the driveway, where we assume maybe the cul-de-sac is supposed to be. There's quite a dip there, and it's been there the whole time.
Because usually within that dip, it's in the right of that cul-de-sac.
Well, the cul-de-sac is supposed to be 100 feet across, correct?
I'm not sure they all are different. Okay. Set up.
I didn't bring that,
Because they didn't,
that one with me.
can somebody tell me when this dirt was all, when I thought, but dirt I was there.
I know we had it surveyed
They didn't go in the cul-de-sac at all, they went
when
from,
the first initial pins and stuff for that. Now, are you saying that your pins, there's a dip still between your pins of your property line and the road? Or
I thought that was a pin for the cul-de-sac.
that's pins at your property?
Okay,
so what are you saying?
So is the gravel to your pins?
I mean, you don't have a cul-de-sac up there. Yeah, come on up there tomorrow. You show me the
I've
cul-de-sac.
been up there. I've been up there. And like I said, I know when they went in, because we had B2 survey it to make sure that we got the size of the cul-de-sac as to specifications. That's where the flags were, and we ended up taking out part of that hill to get the cul-de-sac in there. Where your house is kind of built, there was a little hill that was part of that. That was part of the railroad.
I don't remember a hill that again as part of the road.
I'll come up and I'll show it, I'll review it with you. But like I said, and I'll see what we can do. But yeah, at this point, I thought we were completed with it, with this project.
Because when I talked to you the last time, they,
Because the last time you came down was when, we had just set the fire pit.
yeah, they finished that and they smoothed out the road, so I assumed the road was done. That's probably done. That they had done what they were.
And he went back and put more gravel.
And they did put more down there,
And
because there was a heck of a dip going up to Red Cloud, and they eliminated that, and they, but that was them, and from my understanding, the wife was there when they brought the gravel out through that road that day,
Mhm.
and
They never touched the boat side. They started just west of the fire hydrant, which is not even close to them. You can see from the pictures we gave you where the fire hydrant is.
because at the time, you didn't have enough rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
What the driver told me.
He said, well, drop it on, I don't know, two roads over something, so they probably have something.
Well, they filled that.
So then,
We can come back and we'll look at it to see where we're at. Because my understanding was that Pate had already hauled in the gravel and it was complete. So
But they didn't come up there at
they
all.
didn't come up that. And like I said, we'll see
no,
where the cul-de-sac ends. We'll take care of it.
we found the pin and he put our driveway, which is built up about 4 inches from the road base. He went ahead and had that, put it around like that because that was the probably.
So would you, any questions? Comments from the board? Questions?
So you're okay.
Staff,
Okay, with it, except that we would like to be kept informed if it's not, if this is completed, I'm not sure we're done. And it's a good hole, I mean, it could be a comment if we wanted it to be, you know? And it's when and we paid extra money to have it done early, and it's good.
Well, and we didn't know at the time when we put in the application for that, expedited that we were going to end up putting new water on the too. Okay, so that's what.
we need to take care of.
Yeah, we need to just take care of it.
So, yeah, Kim, when can we go out to look?
You can go up there in the morning if you want. Look out.
Has to be really early. Yeah, that's all the ones for it. Will have to be by Monday.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Come
is.
on, we can out by 7:30.
And if you wait until after the meeting, I'll speak.
Okay. Bob, did you have something?
Mr. Chairman, even if you put gravel on it and it turns to mud, that means you didn't put enough base down.
Thanks, Jim.
Last one was, I guess. Asking if Brian wants. Okay, this is a minimum report complaint, and approximately 1 year, you should be well past the third letter and process of covenant compliance. The covenants in unit 20, lot 70, 71 allow no purpose, use other than a residence on the lot in question. The owners of this lot have stated a public meeting that they are in the process of vacating the property lines for the purpose of attaching the lots to a clean-out project. You are aware the covenants cannot be changed or removed except by vote of the majority of the lot owners. Please note that vacating lot lines will not remove the covenants of the lot, but it will extend the lots covenants to include the green belt parcel that they have been become part of it. Everyone is aware that a vote of the property owners is required to remove the covenant. However, as I have explained in the past, Metro can take lots from the owner under eminent domain or a park, thus creating a public park that would nullify the covenants via eminent domain. Either file for eminent domain immediately or immediately remove the playground structure that is on part of one of the lots and remove the road and block vehicles access that is being used on the other lot. This information should be immediately placed on the next Metro meeting agenda for the out of compliance use under the covenants, including a good letter to the property owners. If you do not use third letter, this complaint may become evidence that the architecture committee and revenue review committee are protecting one property owner above other property owners, which the Metro Board was warned against during by the lawyer. That's the other one.
Okay, anything else? We need to, address Mr. Cook's complaint. Now, I suggest that we do that in executive session. I'm open to the board for suggestions or
Do what in executive session of the lawyers to read this stuff out.
yes. So that he was allowed or allowed at least to follow. I believe we need to address. I'm open to suggestions. I personally think we need to get the lawyer involved because I don't believe that we can't make case law. No, that's, I'm talking about the covenants. Well, I mean, that's what he's saying in regard to covenants. And the other letter, the other letter, the letter that you got. All right. I'll withdraw. You could think that I wish you would speak about that, as far as you get. Well, I think that, I think that, we need to sift through this and decide what is valid about $200 because I'm no expert on anything, but I always have an opinion. My opinion was that
Allison.
a lot of work is not. I don't really. You know. See you guys tomorrow. But have a good one. I think we need to have executive session. Yeah. I just think.
Schedule for the next meeting.
Yeah, we did a contract together.
I do think, I mean, even though I hate paying that lawyer any more money. We all know that, we should make sure that we're making decisions by the law, period. And none of us are lawyers, so we really ought to have a lawyer involved. Even though I hate paying her that much. That's the reason why we got her. And we really ought to make sure we're doing this deal.
So let's set an executive session.
And we really need the lawyer on board.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
Moving second, second question. We're adjourned.
Now you tell me.
Well, you'll know. There's some of the things I'm why I stand among everything. Well, mine.
Got it?
Oh, about to walk. That's more fun than a barrel moment. That's the asshole. Hey, I think a tree's coming over. Is been watching a tree? Every day. Yeah, we discuss stuff down in the spring. All over the place. I was thinking, this might be the windstorm that'll do it. For the, got that other one laying on it.